Good morning, everyone. Welcome to First Church of Religious Science here in New York City and broadcasting everywhere. We're here. I want to welcome everybody, first of all, on the Zoom call, people who are still signing in, people who have been here for the meditation. Welcome to all. Welcome to people joining us on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Spotify, and everywhere else. As always, everything we do at the center, the church, is made available free of charge. For those of you who feel inspired to support our work, and we attempt to reach out everywhere, there's options in the chat room. Before we get into today's lesson, let me remind you of some of the opportunities we have to gather and grow together. On Wednesday evening, James leads our session, our broadcast on creative living. That's where we explore practical ways to apply spiritual principles in our everyday living. On Thursday, we come together for our self-healing class. That's a class that I have been facilitating for many years, based upon Louise Hay's book, You Can Heal Your Life. Today, we explore a new theme, a profound theme, which is awakening the power within. Awakening the power within. This isn't just a concept, by the way. It's more than that. It's a call to action. It's an invitation to recognize and harness the infinite potential that resides within each and every one of you. As Ernest Holmes once said, there is a power in the universe greater than you are, and you can use it. His statement forms the foundation of our talk today as we think about how we can consciously engage this power to create a life that reflects our highest good. Our journey begins with a simple yet profound truth. We are spiritual beings having a human experience. This idea, though familiar, is often forgotten in the hustle and bustle of our daily living. We get caught up in our roles, our busyness, our responsibilities, and our many, many challenges. It seems like sometimes we don't have a moment to catch our breath. So as we do this, and it's certainly understandable to get this busy, we lose sight of the deeper truth of our existence and why we're here. It seems like we don't have any time to do what we call our inner work. It seems like our life is just swiftly passing us by. I don't have time to meditate. I don't have time to pray. I don't have time for this. I think many of us can relate to some of those statements. When we come into the center, those of you who are tuning in regularly, we want to connect. We want to connect with this inner essence, this thing within us, the thing itself that Ernest Holmes described. We want to connect with it more deeply, more profoundly. And many of us just put it off for one reason or another. But for those of you who are tuning in often, regularly, you're making an effort. And many of you who have your own spiritual practices, affirmations, affirmative prayers, and other spiritual work you do at home. Some of you, again, have become very good. It's slowing down, learning to pause, to meditate, to pray, slowing down all of that and finding the time that's necessary to do this important work. And some of us are just trying to get to that place. And here's the thing. Beneath the surface of any of our lives, our daily lives, there is a deeper current that's always active, a divine essence that flows through us, connecting us to the infinite source of creation. I've said in many lessons that we must take a pause, and find a way to listen. My own father used to say to me, "Spirit won't be the uninvited guest." And I remember his words fondly because it's so true. Louise Hay would say, deep at the center of your being is this infinite something, this infinite well of love. It's always there. It's always at hand. We might deny it. We might not even be aware of it for a while. We might ignore it, but it's always available. It's always there. This divine essence, often referred to as the higher power, the Christ within, the Buddha nature, the higher self. It is the source of our power, and it is within us. So you have it within you. And this is what we want to always remember. It's the wellspring of wisdom, love, and creativity. And we can connect with it anytime we want, any moment. However, to access this power, we must first acknowledge that we have it. So you come here, and many of you already know it. Some of you are learning. We talked to you about an immanent God, is a God that's here and now and present in you, operating through you. I thank the universe that I found Louise Hay when I did. Because of that, because of Louise Hay's book, You Can Heal Your Life, I found religious science, and I found my first Unity Church, which helped me to understand and get ready for religious science. Since I was educated in Catholic schools, I mean, from kindergarten up, I needed to go through a period of deprogramming all the dogma. I needed to find a way to let it go. Ideas that I was born in sin or sinful and all of that, which hopefully many of you who are younger than me were spared from. Many of the traditional faiths have dogma and programming that prevents us from realizing that there is this magnificent power within that's available to you all the time. As we become more focused in our New Thought studies, we're truth students here after all, as we become more focused, as we become practitioners where we realize that God is here now operating in you, through you, as we develop that spiritual understanding, we come to believe that we're not merely human beings struggling through life, but beings of light, filled with creative energy, endowed with the creative power. All the creative power of the universe exists within us. There's really nothing we can't do. Ernest Holmes reminds us life is a mirror, and it's going to reflect back to the thinker what he or she thinks into it. This means that the thoughts we hold, the beliefs we nurture, and the emotions that we cultivate all contribute to the reality we experience. To change our lives, we must begin by changing our thoughts, our thinking, and aligning our thoughts with the truth of our divine nature. This is the essence, by the way, of self-realization. You realize, my God, I am one with the one. An awakening to the truth that we are co-creators with the divine. Florence Scovel Shinn said, "Our word is our wand," in her wonderful book. She was saying that we are shaping our reality with every single thought, word, and action. Consider the story of the sculptor, which I've told before, who, when asked how he creates such magnificent statues, simply replied, "I see the angel in the marble, and I carve until I set the angel free." This is what we're called to do in our own lives. We're here to contemplate and dwell upon the divine, to see it in ourselves, and then to begin to be able to see it in everything else, to know that it's all there within you. The more we're able to realize that thing, you can look in the mirror and you can acknowledge it, namaste, with yourself. The more we're able to love ourselves and see that essence, that God essence, that spiritual essence in ourselves, the more we will be able to realize that that potentiality is alive within us, and it's in everything that we see. We'll know it's in others once we really understand this. We live, move, and we have our being in it. We're a part of it. We come to understand in the end that it's all God, or it's all creative energy, all spirit. I'm hoping by now some of you are not getting caught up in words. I get messages occasionally that some people don't like the word God. It's not necessarily my favorite either, but I'm not troubled by it anymore. And some people don't like other words that we use. We use lots of words to describe what Ernest Holmes called the thing itself, this creative something. Once again, it's difficult to describe or give a name to this thing, this thing that's beyond names. One of my courses years ago said that which cannot be named, or that which cannot be adequately named. There's 1,000 names for it. None of them quite are enough for people. Ernest Holmes in our textbook referred to it as the thing itself. Please know that whenever we're talking about spirit, whenever we're talking about creative energy or creative intelligence, we're talking about this thing that's alive in you and that's alive in everyone, and this thing that responds to us. Most of us in New Thought are not terribly attached to the name. We're not talking about an external being anyway. We are talking about something that's omnipresent and eminent. It's within you. It's accessible. We invite you to go there, to meditate, to pray, to do affirmative prayer. It's an activity that's in you, operating through you all the time. I know I'm repeating myself at this point. So to be very clear, we're talking about a presence that's never, ever, ever in absence. And like the sculptor I mentioned, who was carving away until he could set the image free, we too are here to do our spiritual work. We're here to learn. We're here to grow. We're here to let go or carve away false ideas, false beliefs, fears, limitations that hide our true nature. The journey of self-realization is about recognizing the angel or the divine within and allowing it to emerge fully in our lives so we can be the best version of ourselves. We can let go of all this stuff that gets in the way. I'd like to talk for a moment about affirmative prayer. I don't know how many of you are actively doing affirmative prayer. I know many of you work with affirmations all the time, which are wonderful. Some of you are meditating, which is also wonderful. Affirmative prayer is a very, very powerful prayer process that we teach here. We have lessons on it, and we will have more lessons on it. When we do affirmative prayer, which has been described as the crown jewel of religious science by some, we do it because it's such a powerful practice. The very first step of affirmative prayer is to quiet ourselves, take a moment or two, or whatever time is necessary, so you can be still and recognize and sense and feel this presence, to feel it within. So the first step is to recognize it's there and it's in you, and feel it and sense it. So as you do this, your prayer work is going to become very powerful. It will help you demonstrate great good in your life as you do it. So the first step is recognition. And we want to do this step profoundly, powerfully. And then once you get to a place where you can have a sense of it, take that pause, you go within, you recognize that there is one power, that power is in you, operating through you. There's an inner acknowledgement of it, right? You can sense it, you can feel it. We want to be centered in this knowing that it's in us, operating through us, and it's in everyone. And again, recognition begins with a moment of stillness, where we take a pause or we take a breath, we go within, and we acknowledge that there is this power, this presence. You can do it by becoming very still, or maybe taking a few centering breaths, an affirmation. This particular step is all about quieting yourself and recognizing that there is one power, one presence, and it's there within you. And after you've done that, in this quiet space where we contemplate our inner connection with the infinite, we pause, we breathe it in, and we remember that the same power that created the universe is the power that animates our lives. This power is universal love, wisdom, and creativity. It flows through us at all times. Ernest Holmes wrote, recognition, this is the first step of affirmative prayer, is the first step which we must take to set the law in motion. It's really important to take that pause and to get to this place. It is the recognition that spirit is all there is, and all there ever was, and all there ever will be. And that's a powerful statement from Holmes. Recognition, again, is that first step which we must all take to set the law in motion. It's really important to take that pause or center yourself to get to this place within, and where you recognize that spirit is, all there ever was, and all there ever will be. In this moment of recognition where you're sensing it and feeling it, we acknowledge that we are not separate from the source of creation, but are in fact one with it. This realization is the foundation upon which we build our lives. It's our practice. It's the key to awakening the power within. When we take the time to recognize the divine presence within us, we activate the creative power of the universe. We align ourselves with the highest good, and we open ourselves up to infinite possibilities. This is the most important step. The step of recognition isn't just a ritual. It's a profound acknowledgement of our true essence and divine potential. I'd like you to imagine yourself standing at the edge of a vast ocean, and as you gaze out over the water, you become aware that the same ocean that stretches out endlessly before you is the same ocean that flows through your very veins. In this moment of recognition, you realize that you are not just a drop in the ocean, but the entire ocean in a drop. This is the essence of the first step in affirmative prayer, recognizing that the power of the infinite lies within, ready always to be expressed in our lives. Louise, who most of you know, was a practitioner here in New York City. She wrote the book, You Can Heal Your Life. And she stated, we're each 100% responsible for all of our lives. One of the key aspects of awakening our inner power is to take full responsibility for our lives. This is not about blame or guilt, but it's about recognizing that we are the creators of our reality. And another thing I like to add with this is, and the final chapter has not been written for us. We are points of power. We make mistakes. We all make mistakes while we're learning. I want to acknowledge that, while we're growing. And when we make a mistake, of course, it's easy to point fingers, to blame ourselves or blame others, to justify our actions. However, true power comes from owning our experiences, learning from them, and choosing to grow. Dr. Bill, who is one of my favorite teachers, used to say, everything that you've been through, all your trials and tribulations, all the things that you've succeeded at, it's all been what he called teacher to you. He was suggesting that everything that has happened in your life up to now has brought you to a higher place of understanding. In the New Thought teachings, we often hear the phrase, I am responsible for my own consciousness. This simple but profound statement means that regardless of what happens in our lives, we hold the power to choose our response. We can react with fear, with anger, or resentment, allowing external circumstances to dictate our inner state, or we can choose to respond with love, compassion, and understanding. We can refuse to be offended. We can harness the power within us always to rise above any situation. I first encountered this concept when I was reading Jerry John Pileski's books. I think it was Teach Only Love, where he beautifully expressed that we can be love finders as practitioners of religious science. We can be love finders rather than fault finders. So we want to find the love in ourselves. We want to acknowledge it. We want to see it. And we want to do the same as we think of other people too. We can always criticize ourselves. Louise, I mentioned it in this lesson. She will ask, well, how does that work out? Being critical of yourself and others. So John Pileski's words was, we can be love finders, we can be dedicated to seeing the good, the God, or we can do it the other way. This idea is a powerful reminder that our true power lies not in controlling the world around us, but in our ability to choose our thoughts, our emotions, and our actions. As we discussed earlier, there is a concept known as driving all blames into one, which teaches us to take full responsibility for our experiences rather than blaming others or external situations when things go awry, when things go wrong. We want to look inward and recognize that our perception, our thoughts, and our actions contribute to our reality. This doesn't mean we blame ourselves in a negative way, but rather we understand that by taking responsibility, we empower ourselves to change our circumstances. This principle aligns perfectly with New Thought beliefs, which say that we are authors of our own experiences. By accepting responsibility for our own consciousness, we reclaim the power to shape and reshape our future. We shift from being victims of circumstances to becoming creators of our reality. And then we start to embrace the truth that our inner world will define our outer experience. Imagine a captain steering a ship. The waters might be rough, the winds may be strong, but the captain remains at the helm, guiding the ship with a steady hand. In the same way, we are the captains of our own lives. No matter what's going on, whatever is going on in your life, whatever troubles there may be, we have the power to steer our lives in the direction of our choosing. By taking responsibility for our thinking, our thoughts, beliefs, and actions, we'll get through it. We'll navigate through life with confidence and grace. I spoke a bit about affirmative prayer already. Let me mention meditation, because meditation plays a vital role in this journey of self-realization. It's the practice of sitting with ourselves, of becoming intimate with our thoughts, our emotions, and our inner landscape, if you will, our inner knowing. Meditation is not just about relaxation, it's about transformation. Through meditation, through centering ourselves, we cultivate awareness. And with this awareness comes the ability to make conscious choices that align with our highest and good. I've always shared that one of my practices might be, what's the most self-loving thing I can do? In different situations, you can sit with yourself, you'd be amazed. The answers are very clear. Someone once told me that we can think of meditation as dating your mind. Yes, you can think of meditation as dating your mind, getting to know it, understanding its patterns, and gently guiding it towards greater awareness and compassion. Just as you would nurture a relationship with a loved one, it will be helpful to nurture your relationship with your own mind. Entertain positive affirmations. The more you meditate, the more you work with affirmations, the more you will awaken to the truth of who you are. Ernest Holmes said quite beautifully, change your thinking, change your life. Meditation helps us change our thinking by bringing us back to the present moment where all possibilities exist. Meditation allows us to see our habitual patterns and offers us the opportunity to choose again, to choose thoughts that empower rather than limit us. Consider the story, one more story, I think, of a young monk who asked his teacher how long it would take to achieve enlightenment. How long would it take to achieve enlightenment was the question. And the teacher responded, 10 years. The monk, very eager for enlightenment, asked, what if I try really hard, really, really hard? The teacher smiled and said, then it will take 20 years. So the lesson here is that enlightenment or the awakening of our inner power is not something that you can force. It comes through patience. It comes through practice. It comes through a gentle, loving, consistent approach by knowing deep at the center of your being that all is well and taking the positive approach that Louise often spoke of. In our very fast-paced world, we often want quick results, instant gratification. Many of us want to change our lives overnight, yesterday. We want to manifest our desires instantly. True transformation usually takes time. It will occur, though, sooner than you think if you practice daily. If you tune in with us often and allow us to remind you, that's another good way too. It takes commitment on your part to practice this principle. Practice knowing that God is all that there is. Practice loving yourself. Practice seeing the good, the God in others. Having a willingness to meditate and do affirmative prayer. doing these things, or some of these things, or a combination of these things, and having a little bit of patience will allow your inner power to unfold naturally. Just as a seed, for example, takes time to grow to become a tree, so too our spiritual growth requires time and nurturing. Recently, I've had a discussion with someone about the idea of making mistakes. And the person was pretty down on themselves at the time. Let me point out again that we all make mistakes. It's an inevitable and necessary part of the human experience. But what truly matters is not the mistake itself, but how we choose to respond to it. As you've likely heard me say before, we may make mistakes, but we are not mistakes. When we stumble, we must pick ourselves up as soon as we are able and recognize that there's an opportunity here somewhere. There's an opportunity in this moment. You and I are always at choice. We can either beat ourselves up or we can love ourselves enough to learn from it and move forward. This is the path of empowerment, the path that leads to awakening the power within. Mistakes are not failures. They're opportunities for growth, gentle nudges from the universe showing us where perhaps we need to adjust our course, where we need to align more closely with our true nature. Louise Hay, again, a beloved part of this center, a practitioner here, reminded us, never, never, never criticize yourself or criticize yourself for making mistakes. She would suggest that you've punished yourself long enough and asked, how has that worked out? By embracing our mistakes with love and understanding, we transform them into stepping stones on our journey towards self-realization. Louise also taught us that one of the most powerful ways to heal from past mistakes is to consciously engage in positive thinking and actions. Keep changing the lesser ideas, the lesser thoughts for the greater, and take actions to move forward. These actions don't need to be grand or dramatic. They can be small, everyday acts of kindness and love. The cumulative effect of positive thinking and actions is profound, not only in our lives, but in the lives of the people around us. The Buddha, by the way, was known to have made mistakes, but no one remembers the mistakes the Buddha made. They remember him for his wisdom, his compassion, his kindness. We too can choose to be remembered for the positive impact we've had upon the world. By aligning our thoughts, words, and actions with our highest values, we become living examples of the power within. Just as Louise Hay encouraged us to be, by the way. I have one more. Okay, this one's about the Dalai Lama, who most everyone will know. He was the spiritual leader, by the way, of the Tibetan Buddhist movement, and has become a global symbol of peace himself. He was born in the 1930s, and he became a leader of his people at a very young age. In 1959, the Dalai Lama fled Tibet and lived in exile in India ever since. He's known the world over for his advocacy for peace, compassion, and understanding. His actions, all deeply rooted in love and compassion, have inspired millions around the world to live with greater kindness and empathy. Here's the thing. We too can choose to live in a way that reflects our highest values, where we love ourselves and we extend it to others, where we contribute to the greater good. So this lesson is and was about awakening to the power within. As we journey together on this path of self-realization, it's important to bring it all together, all our spiritual practices in our daily lives. Affirmations, affirmative prayers, meditation, the study of spiritual teachings are the cornerstones of everything we do. These practices are not separate. They're all interconnected and support each other in powerful ways. Affirmative prayer begins with recognition again, the acknowledgement of the divine presence within us and around us. From this place of recognition, we move into unification, where we affirm our oneness with the divine presence. And then again, we declare our good and deeply realize our good. We can feel it, we can know it to be so. We give thanks and release our word into the law. This process is powerful. It's a powerful way to align ourselves with the truth of our being and to bring forth the highest good in our life. Meditation supports this process by helping us cultivate an inner stillness and awareness. It allows us to be quiet in the mind, or quiet the mind, and to connect with our inner wisdom and to listen for the guidance that's there. Through meditation, we strengthen our connection with Source, and we deepen our understanding of who we really are, our true nature. The study of spiritual principles, whether through books like The Science of Mind or You Can Heal Your Life, will provide us with the wisdom and insight needed to navigate life's challenges. These books offer us practical tools and principles we can apply in our daily living to create a life of empowerment, fulfillment, and joy. As Louise often reminded us, you have the power to heal your life, and you need to know that. So I'll say it again. You have the power to heal your life, and you need to know that. The healing begins with the mind, and it's supported by the wisdom we gain through study and practice, right? By mirroring our meditation practice with our spiritual study and affirmative prayer, we create a foundation for a life of growth, healing, transformation, and joy. Most of you are longing for more. You want to amplify your power. So as we draw towards the conclusion of this lesson, let's revisit that idea one more. This power is not something we need to search for outside ourselves. I want to remind you again, it's inherent. It's within you already. It's the creative intelligence that's guiding the universe. It's the love that connects all life and the wisdom that knows no bounds. To amplify this power, we must strive to be conscious of it. This is God in my life. That's what I used to say. We want to be conscious of it. We must practice the presence and remind ourselves daily of our true nature and our connection. And then we want to make choices that reflect this understanding. So whether through meditation, positive action, or the study of spiritual principles, we are continually refining our ability to live from a place of power, love, and wisdom. Ernest Holmes said, "You are an outlet of God's energy. You are a divine vessel through which the power of the universe flows." We recognize this truth. We realize that we're not separate from the source. We are, in fact, channels through which the creative power of the universe is expressed. Our thoughts, our words, and our actions are all ways in which this divine energy manifests in the world. Let's affirm together. I am a powerful, creative being. I align my thoughts, words, and actions with my highest good. I embrace my mistakes as opportunities for growth, and I choose to live from a place of love, compassion, and understanding. The power within me is infinite, and I use it wisely and lovingly in all areas of my life. We're almost ready now to return to the microphones to hear from all of you, where you can share your good. I have a closing and affirmative prayer for us, which I'm going to do in the first person today. So I recognize that there is one energy, one power, one love, one essence, one presence in everything and in everyone. And I embrace the divine power, knowing it is within me as well. I know that I am a unique expression of the infinite, and I choose to live from this truth. I release all thoughts of limitation and lack, knowing I am fully supported and supplied by the universe at every moment, in every moment. I trust in the wisdom within to guide my steps and to reveal the path of my highest good. I'm grateful for the opportunities to grow, to love, and to express the fullness of who I am. And so it is. So we're going to bring this, our time together, this phase of our gathering to a close. I want to encourage everybody to share, who can, share any of your demonstrations that you've had or anything that's come up for you in the service. If you're new, say hello if you can. You're not obliged to share, but we'd love to hear from as many people as you can, as we can. Remember, your voice, your experience, and your presence is very valuable to us. You never know, when people share, they help one another. So we learn from each other. We want to support each other. So let's open up the floor. The floor is open to you. Thank you all for being here. And so it is.